Hello everyone, welcome to another video. If you are new, welcome. My name is Priscilla and today I have a very exciting video that I've been wanting to make for a long time. My baby is now 13 months old, or she's gonna be in the next few days, and she has been consistently sleeping through the night since she was about 10 weeks old. And when I say consistently, I mean I would say 95% of the time since she was 10 weeks. She's been sleeping through the night, and there have been a few nights where she has woken up due to sleep regressions or just not having the right timing of things, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Once my baby started sleeping through the night, I was like, wait, hold on. This is so doable and I want more people to know about this. I have another baby on the way. I'm 31 weeks today. I know that I'll be using the same tips and tricks. I know what it's like to have that sleep deprivation, that feeling of, is this gonna be like this forever? And trust me, it's not. Hopefully it's not for you. Now, I know this video might turn out to be pretty long. I have a lot of information to share with you guys, and honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I feel you, I hear you. If you are struggling through this right now, I've been there. And even if you haven't gotten there yet and you're pregnant and you're looking into how this phase of your life is gonna look like, and I just want to give you guys true, real tips that actually helped me and the reasoning behind it, so you guys get an understanding. Now, as a quick disclaimer, just like a lot of my pregnancy related videos, check with your doctor. Always check with the baby's pediatrician. There comes a point in a newborn's life where they've gained enough weight, they're able to sleep through the night. The tips I'm going to give you are things that worked for my baby, and they may not work for your baby. But for the most part, most babies like these things that I'm going to talk about. And these habits, these tips are conducive to having a good night's sleep or good naps. And it wasn't anything that we did on purpose, that we were like, okay, it's 10 weeks, let's get this down. It wasn't like that. It just happened very casually, but it wasn't without us putting work into it, and I'll explain that in a little bit, because I do want to share some tips and tricks as we go throughout the video. One day I just woke up and I looked over the bassinet and she was just sleeping, and I was like, wait, what time is it? I checked the time, it was 6:30 or 7. It was the next morning when I would normally wake up, and I was like, I didn't feed her last night, did I? And if you're a mom and you have a newborn, you kind of go through this dementia at night, because the hours and the days just kind of blend together. And at least it happened for me, where I was like, did I feed her? And that's why I tracked everything. I tracked her feedings, I tracked her poopy diapers, I tracked everything, because I couldn't rely on my memory. So I checked the app, I checked myself, I checked with my husband. I was like, did you feed her overnight? And he's like, no, I didn't feed her. Did you? And I was like, no, I didn't feed her. And we both were in shock, and we were like, oh my gosh, she slept through the night for the first time ever. And we were very happy to see that she could do it, and she did it just effortlessly. And then the next night we put her to sleep, as at the normal time that we normally would, and she did it again and again and again. So this was a thing that she just kind of did on her own, and it became a pattern. It wasn't until I think when she hit her 4-month sleep regression that she had a few nights where she was waking up consistently at 4 a.m., 3 a.m. But again, that's just a regression, and we got through it, and it was very temporary. And I think she did that again at 6 months, where there was a few days out of a week that she did that randomly. So there have been a handful of times in her 13 months of life that she has woken up in the middle of the night for a feeding or for comfort or something. And of course we go into her room and we address that, and we see what's going on. We also make sure that she's gotten enough calories throughout the day, that she hasn't missed a bottle or a feeding or something. And we also make sure that she's had enough naps. So sleep for infants is a little bit different than adults. So for adults, the more tired you are, the better your sleep will be, the more easily you'll fall asleep. For babies, it's the opposite. The less sleep they've had, the more tired they are, the more irritable they are, and the harder it is to put them to sleep. And sometimes they won't be able to stay asleep. They're overtired. Which sounds so crazy, but that's how it is. There's a small little window of time that you have between when they first show you those sleepy cues until the time that they get cranky and irritable and overtired. If you miss that window, you're gonna be putting down a baby to sleep that's cranky and overtired, and it's gonna be a lot harder. So the key is to really be in tune with your baby's sleepy cues. Most babies are pretty universal when it comes to this. They'll kind of rub their eyes, they'll kind of space out and not be engaged with either you or toys. You'll see them kind of getting fussy, and you'll also see that in the timing of things. If you see that they've been awake for a long time, then it's probably getting close to time for a nap. So that's why I tracked everything on an app, because I couldn't keep up with the time. I didn't remember the last time that they ate it. If I didn't write it down, I couldn't really tell you off the top of my head. It was just this like brain fog that I had, which is pretty common, especially when you're sleep deprived. Now, a lot of these things are mainly for a newborn, but we continue doing these habits all the way until pretty much now, with the exception of a few things. Like, she doesn't use a pacifier anymore. She doesn't get swaddled anymore. The most important piece of advice I would say is keeping a consistent routine. Babies love routine. Humans, for the most part, love routines, but especially newborns, they kind of have the same cycle. So it's kind of like round 1, round 2, round 3. It's not so much of a fixed schedule to the minute. It's gonna be more of like a routine, a flow, a rhythm. And yes, do pay attention to the time of the day. You also don't want to be too loose with this, where you like put your baby to sleep too late or too early in the night. Something that happens to a lot of newborns is that they don't know the difference between day and night. My baby adapted pretty well to day and night on her own. I think it had to do also with the things that we did around the house to reinforce that. So it's important to implement some things that allow them to learn what day and night means. That daytime is more of a stimulated time of the day, it's louder, there's brighter lights, and then nighttime is quiet time and there's not a lot going on. During the day we would have full light, we would have music playing, TV was on, we would talk at our normal volumes, and then during nighttime we would turn off the lights, make everything nice and dim. Even the TV, that blue light can be it's not good for any of us, but especially for a baby. I will say that one exception to this at nighttime is during feedings, I would turn on the lights. I would make the environment pretty stimulating for the baby, because I didn't want her to fall asleep. It's very easy for newborns to fall asleep like 10 minutes into eating or even less, because they're feeling nice and warm and their bellies are getting full. So that's where you have to kind of keep them stimulated. You have to keep the lights on. You sometimes have to undress them down to a diaper just so they can be stimulated. Touch their little feet, touch their head. They can't eat a whole lot, but at the same time they will empty out faster. That's why they need such frequent feedings. It's because they can only hold so much and they go through it so quickly. My story is that I was breastfeeding. I started out breastfeeding and then my baby wasn't gaining enough weight. I ended up having to supplement with formula. We supplemented like a couple ounces at a time, and then eventually I had to increase. Once I went back to work, I was not able to keep my supply going at the rate that she was drinking, so we had to supplement while I still pumped at work. Ensure that they have a full feeding, that they don't just have like a little snack. And to keep your baby kind of stimulated too during feedings is you can feed on one side, and when you're done with that side, before you change to the other side, maybe change the diaper or have someone helping you change the diaper, and then put the baby on the other side. That way you interrupt the feeding a little bit, make them a little fussy, and make them wake up more so they can actually get a full feeding. The next thing is know your baby's wake window. When are they awake? How many minutes? For a newborn, 0 to 12 weeks, their wake window is usually like 45 minutes to 90 minutes. They follow the same kind of routine. They eat, play, sleep, eat, play, sleep. That's like round 1. You finish the eating, the playing, the sleeping, and then once they go to sleep, then you either go to sleep or get things done, whatever you need to do to take care of you. Do things for yourself too, because it can get really repetitive, so you kind of have to break the cycle too with yourself. At least for me, I didn't take too many naps. I wish I would have napped more, but I didn't. And what that led to was more exhaustion, obviously. and I just kind of felt like the whole day was just this like thing that dragged on forever, and it seemed like this, I don't know, I felt like I was in this like vortex. I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like I was in this like, I don't know, I was very out of my element. And for someone that loves routine, it was hard for me to be out of my normal daily routine. So doing things that reminded me of that, like making myself breakfast and drinking a coffee and having my quiet time, my Bible time, that was something that was important for me. So the baby's gonna sleep for a couple hours, and then what do? They wake up again. Now, I will say your baby might go through phases of cluster feeding, and that just means that they're going through like a little growth spurt. They need more calories, they need more milk. So they will wake up like 45 minutes after you put them down, or half an hour, and then they'll want to feed. Sometimes you'll be feeding them like every hour and a half. You're like, oh my gosh, this baby's never satisfied. That's okay, that's temporary, that's cluster feeding. It will pass, but just hang in there. The daytime should be a time to have a good structure of that eat, play, sleep, and filling up your baby's tank. You want them to be well fed and have the calories that they need, the feedings that they need during the day. So that way you're not relying on nighttime to fill up their tank. Nighttime is just like, yeah, they might need a few feedings, but it's not going to be like the majority of their calories should not come from nighttime. Also, if you're breastfeeding, the quality of your milk changes because your body knows it's nighttime. It's amazing how it works. If you're not breastfeeding, if you're pumping or you're using formula, have that in mind too, that you want to get those feedings established for the majority of the part in the daytime, so you're not leaving all these like other extra feedings at nighttime. You only do the necessary feedings. And for my baby, that meant she woke up every like 3-ish hours for the beginning part of her life. Like the first week, it's kind of feels like a blur, honestly. I think she did cluster feeding, so she would wake up like every hour, every 2 hours or something. Then she moved on to being more consistent and more like at 3 to 4 hour mark. So I would wake up, I think like 1 or 2 times in the middle of the night. And once we were supplementing with formula and I had milk that I had pumped, I had it in the fridge, my husband was able to feed her when I just needed a couple extra hours of sleep. So definitely use your support system. Now, before I move into the sleeping part, we talked about eat, play, sleep. That playtime in the middle, even if your baby's in the newborn stage, it doesn't mean that they can't be stimulated visually. They can distinguish the contrast between dark and light. Once they become a little bit older, you'll be able to play with them even more. You can start tummy time as soon as they get home from the hospital. This playtime is extremely, extremely important. Now I'm gonna show you guys what my baby used right from the beginning until literally right now. She's still playing with some of these toys. It's the Lovevery play kit. They were kind enough to offer to send this to me before she was born, and as soon as she came home, we started using some of these things. So the black and white cards were something that we would kind of show her. We would kind of put it in front of her, and she would stare at them and would follow them back and forth. So we used that from the beginning. We also used the little rattle and the maraca, and she still loves playing with that. The play gym is actually something that I put in my baby registry before they even reached out to send me these. And I was so excited to know that I was gonna get it because I had read so many reviews about it. I have seen so many moms use it. It is so pretty. It has some wooden elements to it. The frame is wood. Each side has a different thing. So there's a side that's focuses more on color, a side that's more on texture, and a side that has like crinkly sounds. And so as she grew a little bit older, as she got bigger and she was able to understand and play with these little features of the mat, she was basically doing tummy time and loving it because she was entertained. And I like that you could fold them inwards, and you would kind of make the mat a little bit more compact, and you could fold them out to reveal more things. I would tell any mom that's having a baby to get this play mat. I loved it. It's not an eyesore. It's really pretty to look at, but it's also very stimulating for your baby, and it's safe as well. I like that Lovevery has a lot of Montessori inspired toys. A lot of wooden toys. They will last for a very long time, and I can keep using them with my future kids if I have more kids after this. I know for sure baby number 2 will be enjoying these toys as well. And so I'll leave their information down below in the description of their website. They did not pay me to say any of this. They just simply sent me the products, and I've seen how my daughter has played with them and used them for all of this time. And so again, thank you for Lovevery for gifting these to us. My baby has thoroughly enjoyed them and is still using them, and I can't wait for baby number 2 to enjoy them as well. Now that you have fed your baby and played with your baby, it is time to put them to sleep. So here are my sleeping tips. There's been a lot of trial and error, so and what has worked for my baby may not work for yours, but most babies are pretty universal when it comes to these few tips that I'm going to talk about. You want to make sure that the lights are dim, that the environment starts to get kind of quiet and less stimulating, like we talked about. We want to distinguish day and night. You want to start these habits early on so that way they can know the difference between day and night. And once they know that difference and you're in a good rhythm, then you can maintain that. Like I said, make the environment the best environment for sleeping. Swaddle. You need a good swaddle for your baby. They need to be held in close. They need to feel secure, kind of like they were in the womb. And so swaddling your baby is extremely important for them to fall asleep and stay asleep, because babies have this moral reflex. It usually goes away around like 3 months or so. And this moral reflex is the startle reflex. So they will startle themselves awake as they're sleeping. They just do it. Or if you are holding them and you're transferring them to the bassinet or their crib, that motion can actually cause them to startle. So you can lay them on their side first and kind of roll them on their back rather than just placing them on their back directly. I have a few swaddles here that I can show you guys. I have a few different types. I will link these below for you guys. The first one we used was this one. This is the Swaddle Me swaddle in the size small medium. So basically these sleep sacks have a little zipper at the bottom, which makes diaper changes very easy at night. They really don't need to be taken out of the sleep sack unless you want to keep them nice and awake for feedings, then by all means. But if it's just a quick diaper change, this is very handy. And then it has little Velcro like closures here. So basically you put your baby inside of the sleep sack like that, put them in here, you fold this upward, and you secure the Velcro around their chest first. This little extra piece you would just kind of tuck behind them, make sure it's nice and flat, that it's not like bunched up or wrinkled. And then you would secure the top 2 Velcro pieces, and then your baby is in an instant burrito with very little effort. If you are not very good with swaddling, you can't mess this up. This is very easy. My husband loved this. The moral reflex, because it ends around like the 3-month mark, or when your baby flips over by themselves, that's when you should stop swaddling them. They need to have their arms out just for safety, because if they roll onto their bellies and they're not able to push up on the mattress or the bassinet, then that is a risk for SIDS. So they need to be able to have mobility with their arms, and that's where this sleep sack comes in. This is also by the same company, Swaddle Me. I got these from the first pack of 2. I think the one that I just showed you, I got it from Target, and then this one I got it from Amazon. Basically it's the same thing. So it has the 2 little closures, the Velcro ones here, to kind of secure. This is your last step. But on the inside, the zipper is a long zipper from top to bottom, and it has a double zipper. So you can unzip them the whole way, but I usually use the bottom one because if it was nighttime and it was cold, I didn't want to just like uncover her chest. So what I would do is I would zip up from the bottom, change your diaper, and then zip it again. I like that you can tuck this little zipper inside of itself, and so it's not poking their chin. And the nice thing about this one is that it has no sleeves, so that means that the baby can have their arms out and still be swaddled nice and snug and be kept warm, but they are able to have their arms out. It gives you the ability to try with one arm out first. So we did that for like a day or two, and then we realized that she was fine with two arms out, and we just moved it down like this. Do you see what I mean? Like if you have them wrapped up like this, you keep one arm inside of the swaddle and then the other arm is out. And some babies like that. My baby was just ready for both arms to come out. She was using both arms, and then the PJs she would have underneath were long sleeves so she wouldn't get cold. And then it just secures back here. Now I think the reason we stopped using this one earlier on is because she, again, like I said, she was using her arms already, so she didn't really need to have her arms all tucked in. And this this secures like all the way back here, like on her back. So she was like sleeping on these two little things, and I feel like that was kind of bulky. Now those are the easy swaddles that we know and love, but these are the classic swaddle blankets. So this actually came in a set. This was a gift to me, and another one here. These are stretchy. I like these the most because of that. Now you can use a muslin blanket and that's completely fine. They don't have a lot of stretch to them, at least the ones that I have from Target. So I like these better because they mold to the baby and they really wrap them. So it allows them to stay in the swaddle a lot longer. I noticed that with the muslin blankets, she was able to break free a lot easier. So I like these a lot. You would just start out with a little triangle like that, and you see how much stretch this has, and you would just put your baby and do like the little swaddle routine. And then this one is a pretty popular brand. It's the Snuggle Me. They have those like baby holder pillows, which I only use like during the daytime. The Snuggle Me brand has these swaddles, and this is also like a stretchy material. We talked about the sleepy cues, so look for those sleepy cues, turn down the lights. Now for sleeping time, have that like routine, that repetitive thing that you always do. You kind of turn the lights down low, you put them in the swaddle. Some people say that their baby doesn't like a swaddle. Most babies like that secure feeling. It's just that when you first put them in the swaddle, they will cry for a few seconds, and then it can be very distressing for you as a parent to be like, well, I'm putting this baby in this forced position that they clearly are showing me that they don't want to be in. But if you just get past those first few seconds of crying, and then you pick them up and you bounce them or rock them and maybe give them a little pacifier, they will calm down. Most babies like swaddles. They like to feel secure and safe, and remember, it's going to allow them to sleep a little bit longer because they won't wake up from startling themselves with that moral reflex. When you have that set bedtime that you kind of find yourself wrapping up for the night, try to stay within 30 minutes of it or so, meaning that if your bedtime is 10, try to put them to sleep within like 9:30 to 10 or 10:30. Try not to go past that 30-minute window. And the bassinets should have nothing in it, just your swaddled baby. The other thing that sets the mood is a sound machine. So we use the sound machine. We still use the sound machine. We have the Hatch sound machine. Babies are super smart, and like I said, they're very adaptable creatures. They will adapt to the circumstances and the environment that you set up, and they will build those habits and routines. Just make sure you keep at it, you stay consistent, and it will work. I know this video was super long. Sorry if it was all over the place, but I hope that my notes and the research that I gathered was helpful for you guys. If you guys found it even a little bit helpful, please give it a thumbs up just so other parents can find it. I'm not an expert. I'm just a mom who's done this already one other time and is starting to kind of revisit this newborn phase and looking things up again. And this is a journey. You keep growing in it, you keep learning your baby's cues, and as you progress in your parenthood journey, you'll notice that you'll know your baby better than anyone else. So do what you think is right, do what you think is best. Always, you know, check with your baby's pediatrician, and in the end, have fun with it. Have grace for yourself. You might mess up here and there, but give yourself grace and give your partner grace. Be there for each other. Use your support system. We're not meant to do this all alone. If you have people around you, I'm sure they will be more than happy to help. And with that, I leave you. Write down any comments that you may have or any questions that I didn't get to. I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff that I left out, but this video is long enough. But if you guys have any specific questions, go ahead and leave them down below and I will answer them as much as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.